What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Man, it's been a while. Been what, 10, 13 days or so? Guys, it's been a long time. Happy to be back. Happy everybody is here today. Looks like we've got a good turnout already as we get ready to fire off out of Jorge Newbury Airport, which kind of deemed the LaGuardia of South America. We're going to pick up right where we left off. We're going to head up, getting closer and closer to Rio. So we're going to be sporting the Latam Rockin' Rio livery probably for the next maybe 2 streams, I think, because I think not this stream, but the next stream. I think we're going to actually do the Rio approach on the next stream. Might be a 2-legger, which should be a lot of fun. But man, I feel like I need to knock the rust off. This will be a good little flight for us. We get to catch up on some stuff. I want to talk to you guys about some stuff in the sim. I know there's been some talks about crash to desktops and all that. I have been, since the last stream, literally haven't even touched my sim since the last stream. So it's been a little while, but I hope we can catch up today on this flight. Looks like we've got a new member coming back, Brian S. Welcome back to Private Sir. Glad to have you back on the channel, my friend. What is up? Kevin Thomas, good to see you. Scott is also in the house. Mr. Fubar is also in the house. What's up, man? Kevin Thomas. Aaron Hastings, good to see you, dude. Jessica is also here. Team Vodka's here for a little bit. Got to leave early. What's up, Team Vodka? Good to see you, my friend. Runar, David Isaac, Bart Kuhlman, Steve Van, Brad K, Anthony Teal, Danny Rubel, Boeing Pilot is in the house. Greetings from Italy. What's going on, man? Welcome, Matt Warren, Callie Simmer, Jeff L, Phase 1, Never Exceed Speed is also in the house. Chuck Blake, Brian Baffle, and Mr. Martini. Shadat. Good to see you guys, man. And right off the bat, Mr. Tony Johns gifting 5 more subs out. Wow, way to get this show started. Guys, if you are wanting to become a member of the channel, you can click on the little 5 gifted subs up there at the top of the chat. You should be able to accept a subscription or a membership, I should say, for Mr. Tony Johns. That's a huge support to the channel. Thank you so much, sir. Guys, if you do pick up the membership, make sure you thank Mr. Tony Johns himself for getting you a membership to right here at the V1 channel. What's up, Vladimir? Good to see you. Glad you're back. Yeah, man, it's been a while. It's been I think the 11th, right? So however many days that was. But we got a lot to talk about. I'm excited for this flight. It should be a nice one. I've fast-forwarded the time 2 hours. So it's 2:30 in Brazil right now. I fast-forwarded it to 4:30 just because middle of the day, like between noon and 3 o'clock, it's kind of like the bleh time to be flying in the sim. There's not much to see, but I think this will be a little bit better on the eyes as the sun starts to get low. We got the freaking nice background, the city skyline in the background. Callie Simmer is also dropping off a $20 dono. Thank you so much, man. A huge dono. Positive rates right back at you, sir. He says, good morning, V1. So glad to see you safe and sound after all that torrential rain. Mr. Callie Simmer, I tell you what, man, it's going to make for an interesting podcast, which I'm going to make some. Since, you know what, since I've been slacking on that, we'll go into some detail here on stream, kind of like a little live after dark or a little live cockpit confessional for you guys, because, yeah, I've been picking up some flying. And real quick, before we get the stream started, I know you guys are anxious to see this airplane get fired up and get out of here, but basically what's been happening is I literally thought we were moving. So I've been in Texas for, I don't know, a couple of decades now. So Texas is home. We love Texas. But literally we put an offer in on a house in a different state. We're ready to move. And then we got outbid and it didn't happen. And just a lot of crazy stuff had gone down recently. So that's why I've been so busy. Not quite sure what the future holds right now. But I do appreciate all of your support. So it's going to be awesome. I got the member donos going off here. This should it'll probably settle down here. Then we'll kill the alert box sound. But Jeff L, thank you for your continued support. Thanks for the epic South America tour. You are welcome, my friend. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and it's only going to get more fun. And I have got a great plan. We're going to, after we head up to Rio, we'll go a little bit. Obviously, we're going to go further north, and we're going to do some island flying up there, like St. Martin, St. Kitts, St. Thomas, all that stuff. Maybe get some turboprops out, do a little turboprop flying, some GA flying in the islands, and then we'll excuse me, head right back into Miami. Scott, do they have better internet? Yes, fiber to the home, my friend, fiber to the home, which would make, it would really make content creation so much easier for me, just the accessibility to it. Obviously now when I want to stream or make content, I got to pack up, drive 20 minutes, 25 minutes to the office, do my thing, and then 25 minutes home. So we're looking at almost an hour travel time just to make any content to be here at the PC at the V1 HQ. But hey, I love doing it. I love you guys. Your support is awesome. awesome. And Fubar, yeah, we understand. Hope the internet is great when you do find a place. Exactly, man. It is. It's definitely in the list of needs for the new place if we do indeed move. Prepare to be disappointed in the barbecue if you leave the South, Mr. Hines. Yeah, I know, man. It's going to be tough losing all that barbecue, but good thing is I'm a pretty good pit master myself, so I just did some awesome teriyaki chicken the other night. Oh, it was so good. But I think I'm going to cook out tonight, too. We're not sure. I'm doing my practice. I'm doing my practice cooking for football season, American football season. But we'll talk all about that. If we don't get this airplane fired up, we got it. We're going to be here all day long. So let's go ahead and start this thing up. Captain Pro Slower says, have I got GSX? No, I haven't. I've seen a couple of the early release streams and the betas and stuff. I mean, it looks so bugged out. I'm going to wait a few months and then I'll pick it up if I need it. Until then, I honestly, I understand why people want GSX, the loading and all that. It's great for immersion. For me, what I got here in the Phoenix, I can just hit load. It does it all real time. I'm happy with that for now. I would love to see some, vehicles, like it has all the vehicles and you can actually watch people boarding. But I think it's still very much looks like a beta product to me. There's got to be some more support for it. So once it all gets dialed in, then I might pick it up. But for now, I'm loving this right now. Look at this. Does this not look like a real shot here from the 320 wing? Goodness me, I haven't been in any sim since the last stream, so this is just, it's nice to be back and see how this. Are we rocking failures tonight? Yeah, Hazard, we're going to have random failures on as always, and we might trigger just a random one just for fun, right? So here we go, let's go ahead and get the batteries online, 25.6 volts or greater. Boom, that's on. We're going to go ahead and go straight to GPU power. Let's go ahead and buff up the sim sounds a little bit here. That's coming online. These screens are coming online. Beautiful. It's way buggy, Steve. That's what I've kind of gathered. I watched a little bit of Q8 stream with it, and then I think I saw something else or some other video about it, and I was just like, it's got great potential. I think it has really good potential, but for me personally, I'm just going to wait till they iron out some of those bugs. Aero Park Tower is online. I see that 1885 with ATIS of 27.6. Yeah, SABE ATIS, beautiful. We were awesome to have some ATC online today. Gotta love that. All right, up the overhead panel here. Cruise supply, oxygen, ground control can come online. There's the FWC, CVR test. There it is. That looks good. 1, 2, 3. Let's get this thing fired up. Put you in the status page right here. Position 1, time to alignment. They're coming online. I'm trying to adjust my sounds. Do you know when the Phoenix will drop the next update? It has been a while. I do not, Boeing pilot. I've been wondering that myself. They got the, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to just drop an update with, sharklets and new motors, or they're going to drop an update with some little bug fixes first and then come out with something else. I have no idea what their plan is, but they've been pretty quiet. So I'm just along for the ride like you guys. Everything else looks good on the overhead. Let's do a fire test. Probably around Sim Update 10. That's kind of what I'm thinking too, Chaos. They're waiting for Sim Update 10 to come out and see what that brings to the sim. I'm not running the beta. I also know Sim Update 10 is a beta version, right, that you can pick up. But no, I'm just rocking the old Sim Update 9. Hopefully we don't have any problems today. Let's go Atsu. Let's get our flight init done here. We're going to go flight init. We'll pull this init data request. What state was I planning on moving to? I'd move into Atlanta. Well, that's not a state. Georgia is a state, but not the city of Atlanta. Well outside the city, out in the country. And I'll probably get into it on the podcast with my members of what's going on. But yeah, we just had an opportunity come up, and we kind of squandered it. It was ours to take, and I guess we just didn't realize what an opportunity it was, and I think my wife and I were both a little gun shy of just uprooting and moving. But we had an opportunity, we kind of squandered it, and now we're kind of in that limbo phase. Like, all right, so now what are we going to do? And it's just combine that with my training and my recurrent training and all that stuff. So it's been a wild ride here the last couple weeks for sure. Key 6 moving. I'm not officially moving yet, man. We're still in the great state of Texas, my friend. All right, we're going to be land chili, so I fired us as land. I guess I should have filed us as TAM. But since I did fire us as land, we're just going to rock it. I know they combined airlines in, 2011 or something like that, so it's the same thing. I guess we'll just go with the Land Chile call sign today. Land Chile 357. Cost index, we're going to do 88 today. And our cruise flight level in our flight plan is 370. Let's go ahead and dial that in. 370. And ground temp's 15. The tropopause is already in there. That looks fine to me. All right, so let's go ahead and leave that there. We're probably going to get a time issue here with the flight plan, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and go to mass and balance. Dallas, Georgia is pretty nice. Interesting, Chuck. Once a Texan, always a Texan. I know, Jeff. You can take the Texan out of Texas, but you can never take the Texas out of the Texan. So I would be rocking my Texas flags wherever we move for sure. All right, let's go ahead and do a load aircraft in real time. 23-minute loading time. We got 137 people going up today. 4,000 pounds of cargo and 14.3 on the fuel. Beautiful. They're actively loading. That's good. Let's see what else we can do. There is our route of flight. Exactly. Exclamation point on route. Mr. Parabas, thank you for the $2 dono there. Says, hey, Captain, nice to see you're back. Hey, I'm glad to be back, man. Glad to be back. Thank you for your $2 support there. €2 support. Appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed the stream up to... Somebody give me the common phrase for this airport. I'm calling it like Porto Alegre, but I don't know if that is what, what airports, what it's actually called there for the common folk of the area. Each airport has an airport designator. Like I still call McCarran, even though it's Harry Reid. So I don't know what the locals call Porto Alegre Airport. But I hope you enjoy the flight up there. Should be a nice one. All right, we're going, before we put in our clearance, let's go ahead and get ATIS here since they're actually online today. And we'll do ATIS and we'll do tower clearance the old school way. So we got 27.6.
Alpha. Jorge Newbury Airport ATIS information Alpha. 1700 special. Surface wind 070 degrees, 4 knots. Visibility 0 kilometers or more. Clouds view 2,100 feet. Temperature +19er. Dew point +14. QNH 1017. Transition level 40. Departure and arrival runway 13. Expect ILS Zulu approach runway 13. Notices to airmen. Noise abatement procedures in effect.
Uh-oh.
IFR clearance
I don't know what any
via
noise abatement
PGC.
procedures are.
Advise on initial contact. You have information Alpha.
All right, information Alpha. I don't know what the noise abatement procedures are. Maybe that'll be in our JEPs. But let's go ahead and call clearance. We're going to call up as Land Chile 357 with Alpha. And let's give it a call. Am I bound up? Everything is bound. Yes, it is. Beautiful. Here we go. Aero Park Tower is what we call it here. Aero Park Tower, Land Chile 357. Like to pick up IFR clearance to Sierra Papa Bravo Alpha. Or Sierra Bravo Papa Alpha. $1885. Helps to have the right frequency. Really helps to have the right frequency.
Runway 13. Notices to airmen. Noise abatement procedures in effect. IFR clearance.
Aero Park Tower, good afternoon. Land Chile 357. Like to pick up IFR clearance to Porto Alegre.
Land Chile 357. Good evening, Aero Park Tower. You're clear to Porto Alegre at 5, flight level 370. For departure Dorvo 7, runway 13, and squawk 0365.
All right, cleared to Porto Alegre Airport as filed. Flight level 370, Dorbo 7 departure. Expect runway 13, squawking 0365 for Land Chile 357.
Land Chile 357, readback is correct. Report ready for push and startup.
Copy, we'll report ready for push and start. Land Chile 357. All right, so 370 on departure. This is something that I'm not quite familiar with, but I think we're going to put 370 on the box until he gives us something different. We can expect 13 with a squawk of 0365. So it's always kind of a good practice to pick up your clearance if you can before completely loading the box, because you don't want to have to come in here and redo the whole thing. But we got as filed, which is good. 13 Dorvo 7 off 13. So we're going to go ahead and insert that. That takes us out to Dorvo. And then on our flight plan, we should be upper Mike 424, correct? All the way out to Iltag, beautiful. And then we're on the ARP-1 Alpha. Now they have a cool visual approach, which I think we'll do to runway 11. But what I'll do is I'll load the ILS Zulu to 11 as a backup, but I think we're actually we'll just do the charted visual approach procedure off of Iltag. But we'll sync it all up like this. That looks good there. Shaq Oatmeal, what's up, what's up, man? It says, afternoon, everyone. I just had a daddy-daughter lunch date. Awesome, Shaq, man. Good to hear it, dude. I can't imagine, my girls are 3 and 1 right now, and my oldest just had her first day of preschool on Monday. Man, it's time is just flying by, dude. Flying by. But that's awesome. Good to hear it, Shaq. Good to hear it, my friend. Chat is a scratch pad. I love it. That is some good crew resource. Thank you, VREF. Thank you. Alexander says, my call sign should be TAM 357. Yeah, I know it should be. I screwed that one up on the filing, but since I already filed it as LAN 357, we're just going to we'll just roll with it. But yeah, that was a user error on my part. So here, let's do our secondary real quick in case we pop one. We're going to come back around. We'll do SABE. Now, this is an interesting point of emphasis here. So we're departing off of 13, which is a shorter runway. If we have to come back, more than likely, we're going to just head over to the other airport that's very close by here. It's got a little bit longer runway, and that's a real-world technique. So in real-world scenarios, say you're departing LaGuardia or Key West or any airport that's really got a short runway, more than likely, if you have to come right back around, you're going to be overweight and you could have some landing limitations. So you would actually, in your secondary, put the alternate landing airport that you would actually want to go back to. Now, of course, one situation where I don't really care if we're overweight and it's a shorter runway, we have to get on the ground, is if we're on fire. If we're on fire or falling apart, I really don't care. We're going to come right back around. We're going to put it on the numbers and we're going to get it off the ground, or get it on the ground, I should say. So. But other than that, we'll probably consider going to another airport, but just for sim purposes, we'll put SABE back in here. I don't know what the barrel was. We'll do 200. It was like 070 at 4 knots for the wind. Temperature is 19er off the ECAM, and the QNH is 1017. So that's a good secondary. RadNav, nothing to hard tune for right now. Init B page, let's see, do we have our fuel on board? He's done fueling. We've got 14.4. Fuel in tanks is on board and balanced, so let's go ahead and get our fuel tank pumps on. We'll get our seatbelts on, and we'll put 14.4 in the box here. Oops, I put one extra decimal point. That is done, and we're still waiting on the init B page, so we'll go ahead and leave that, or the init zero fuel weight. Progress, I'm just going to put the SABE Airport runway 11 here, or I'm sorry, runway 13. Perf data is, we'll leave it blank. We're going to leave it on this page for now. Let's come over here and make sure our failures are set up. So random failures, realistic, and all. There we go. That's good. Everything looks good there, so we can just go ahead and bring this back to the flight plan page. Looking good. SAEZ. Thank you, Trading Pilot. Exactly. There was SAEZ, which is right next door, longer runway. Would definitely probably go back there if we need to. Okay, let's take a quick look here at our taxi out. Looks like we're going to push off here. Runway 13, it's a southbound departure instead of going northbound. So we're going to go southbound here, or southeastbound, off of 13. And I actually pinned some of these charts. So let's look at the Dorvo 7. Said Dorbo. So off of 13, basically it's a left turn 040 to intercept. Looks like left turn 040 to intercept the FDO 114 to Dorvo, and then we're off from there. So I'm going to hard tune San Fernando, which is the FDO VOR. So let's come back over here. Let's put FDO. Let's make it big, which is a hard tune, and the course is 114. So we'll just put 114 course in there just as a backup. We probably aren't going to need it because we're going to be RNAV off the ground, but if you needed to back it up, which you should always be doing, we've got it set up and ready to go should we lose GPS or something like that. Go ahead and we can stow the tray table if I can find the click spot. Uh-oh. There it is, where it should be. All right, that is like recorded. That sound, this is straight up recorded out of an airplane. Listen to this. I mean, that's exactly what it sounds like. Crazy. Let's go ahead and get the APU fired up. Santiago, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Quick question from Ian. He says, when landing the Airbus, do you have nose wheel steering on or off? What do you mean? You mean like the switch, the anti-skid nose wheel steering? That stays on. The only time you would turn this off during landing is if you needed to go use the alternate braking method, which that is a memory item. So if you land and I press on the brake pedals and I don't have any brakes, we're going to do alternate braking memory items. So basically what happens there is you select reverse thrust and go reverse. If you're in idle reverse, you go to full reverse. Maintain directional control, obviously. You're going to flip this switch to the off position, and then we're going to apply the brakes again, all while monitoring the brake pressure down here in the triple indicator. We want to make sure we stay at 1,000 psi. Now, depending on the aircraft and the mod that is installed, it should limit you to 1,000 psi, but on some of the older Airbuses, you could easily overboost them and you could cause more damage. So you'd have to modulate your brake pressure with alternate brakes to 1,000 psi. That's that green band right there. If that doesn't work still, now we're going to use the accumulator to stop the airplane by using the parking brake with short successive applications of the parking brake. So that's all a memory item. If you lose braking on a rollout, which speaking of braking, we're going to talk a little bit about some crazy landing I did the other night. Well, it was just insane. Landed in the most amount of rain maybe ever. I mean, it's pretty close. I landed in a freaking insane monsoon one time flying freight, but definitely in the Airbus. It's the most rain I've ever landed in the Airbus. I think there was about 6 to 8 inches of standing water on the runway, completely flooded. Sketchy. Definitely sketchy. We'll talk all about it later. But that's what that little shorts video was. So if y'all are members and you're just joining the channel, make sure you check out the community tab. I do put out little shorts videos every now and then when I'm out on a trip, keep track of where I'm at. You guys tend to like those, so I hope you're enjoying all those videos. Mr. Carta Joel is in the house. What is up, Carta? Good to see you, man. I saw you working on some LEAP engines over there on the old Flight Factor on X-Plane 11. I see it, Carta. They're looking good, man. Definitely looking good. Too bad it's X-Plane 11. But bring those puppies to X-Plane 12. I'm going to be all over it, my friend. Don't mind me. I'm just here for the CTD. Okay. So if my sim crashes now, it's all on Carta. We're going to blame Carta. And I already said earlier in the Discord, if my sim crashes, I'm pretty much going to alt F4 the stream. And I'm going to go fishing because it's a beautiful day. It's like 85 degrees right now in Texas. We got this nice cold front coming in. Well, not really cold front, but just all the rain and everything. So if my sim crashes, I'm going to the lake. I'm going fishing. We can all blame Carta. All right, we got the APU on. So let's go ahead and start the chrono for typically, you guys see me doing this, and somebody asked me this the other day. I saw the question in chat on replay, but I never actually answered him. So Airbus has said that once you start the APU, if you're on a cold day, especially like on a cold APU, it hasn't been running in a couple hours. Ideally, if you let the APU run for 3 minutes before turning on the APU bleed, it can really help with fume events and smoke in the cabin. And by smoke in the cabin, not necessarily that you're on fire, but sometimes during shutdown, you can get a little bit of leftover unburnt residue, whether it be fuel or oil, that can leak into the APU area in the burner section. And when you ignite it and it starts running at full strength and you just turn the bleed straight on, sometimes you can pump those fumes from that unburnt fuel and oil right back into the cabin, and it can make you sick, it can make you nauseous, and it just doesn't smell all that good. So it's not a limitation on the Airbus, but it is a recommendation that if you can do it, try to let your APU run for 3 minutes before activating the APU bleed. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Here in Texas, it's been 107, 110, 115 degrees the last couple of weeks. If I got to turn the bleed on, I'm just going to turn the bleed on right away, because I might let it run for a minute 30. I'm like, all right, I got to get the bleed on because we got no ground air and the cabin is already 98 degrees. You park these airplanes on the ramp with no ground air and no APU air, you'll be over 100 degrees in a matter of minutes. So I can't have people passing out in the back. I'll take the risk with the smoke or the fumes just to keep it cool from people passing out. All right, so APU is online. Let's go ahead and make sure everything else is done. How are we looking over here on the loading page? We're still looking good there. So let's do some quick takeoff data numbers. We know we're going off of 1.3, so I'm going to do a prelim load sheet. We'll sync live weather. Porto Alegre. All right, so I'm calling it. I'm saying it right. Is it common to not have ground air? Lunar,
Well,
Yes and no. I mean, depending on the station, the biggest issue is a lot of the ground air at the stations, they don't give you, it's not sufficient to cool the airplane. It may pump in 75-degree air, but here in Texas, when it's like 110, the ramp is like 130 degrees because you got the tarmac, you got jet blast, everything. So when the airplane is sitting on a 130-degree ramp, and the air conditioning unit from the jet bridge is only pumping in 70, 75-degree air, that's not sufficient to cool the airplane, so that your temps are still going to skyrocket. The APU can really push in some cold air, so it's a little bit of both, you know. All right, so this is our prelim. I kind of did that wrong. We'll probably do a PAX off coming out of here. Well, let's see. Let's see if we can do a forced toga. Yes, I want to do this. Forced toga, PAX on. I actually got a Toga takeoff requirement out of Vegas the other night too, in a heavy 321. I was actually a Toga PAX off takeoff out of Vegas, 321. That's how heavy we were. Almost full tanks and completely full airplane. And it was 110 outside. So yeah, it was wild. All right, Toga required. This looks like our speed 1840-40 with the flap 1 takeoff. That looks like it'll be all right for us. We already talked about our departure. We got 370 set up there. Everything else looks good. We're just waiting on final numbers. Let's go ahead and turn the bleed on at this point. We'll disconnect from ground power. This should be in the captain switch there. That looks good. And is this off? It is off, so it should be in the auto position. All right, we're looking good. Everything is looking good now. We'll go ahead and just wait for the boarding to finish. I hold a sign that says blame Christy or Zobo, but mainly Christy. Exactly, Carter. Well, it can be. We can blame Christy too. We'll blame Christy and Carter. Fubar says real cam. Yeah, Fubar is basically a water landing. Jeremy says the windshield wipers get super loud in the Airbus. Jeremy, yeah, and I tried to take a quick little shorts video of the wipers on high. Wipers on high on the Airbus is just scary, man. It's how fast they move up and down. It looks like they're going to fling off the airplane. I'll tell you this. The rain was so heavy, I had to pull out my SMIGS chart, which is your low visibility taxi chart, to see the taxi lines. Because I had to use an RVR taxi route, which was a green center line on the lighted center line on the taxiways. I could barely see the centerline lights on the taxiway because the rain was so heavy. The windshield wipers basically did nothing. There was so much standing water on the ground, I had to use about 35% thrust, 30 to 35% thrust on both engines just to keep the airplane rolling. I mean, it was insane torrential downpour. Never seen anything like it in the Airbus. I'd wager to say it might have been, it's right up there with the other time I landed in a monsoon when I was flying freight in the 99, but it was up there. On takeoff, do you typically use the least flaps possible to reduce drag and the extent of an engine out? Chris Run, that is all dependent on the Aero Data Performance Center. So I think they factor that in. They're obviously trying to get you a flaps 1 if terrain is an issue. If terrain is not an issue, you know, you're going to give up some, and you're going to give up some in second segment with flaps 2 and 3, but you're going to gain some on the takeoff roll. So it's all give and take, but I think that is definitely considered from the performance center that we use to get our performance numbers, especially in high terrain. They want to try to keep you at flaps 1 because it's going to be that's your best single engine, obviously, because you have less drag hanging out there. But that's a good question. I can't really answer it definitively for you because like I said, I don't run the actual numbers. We send all of our environmentals and all of our load data to a data center, and they give us back what we need to use. So, but absolutely, I think it is part of the equation anyway. Definitely part of the equation. What is the difference between captain and captain person? Captain purser switch. So basically this evac, depending on the airline, you could run it captain purser, but for us here in the US, we run it on captain only. This is to prevent an unwanted evacuation or an accidental evacuation from the purser, basically, or the lead flight attendant. So with it in the captain position, it means that only the captain can activate the emergency evacuation command. You don't want the flight attendants to activate the emergency evac when the captain's not ready, right? Like, let's say maybe the airplane's on fire, but we got to fight the fire first. You don't want people jumping out on slides into a blazing engine that's still running, right? Whereas the way that they train our cabin crews and the way our crew resource management works, the captain is the only one that's going to initiate the evac command. That's the purpose of putting it in the captain only switch. Now, there are some airlines that will train that way, where the captain and purser or the flight attendant are on the same page, or they have trained in scenarios where the purser may initiate the evacuation. Then the switch would be in the up position. But for us, we keep it in the captain only. It is captain only command. Mr. Dimitri is in the house, and he's showing up in a big, big way. Greetings from sunny and hot Van City, Captain. This is going to be epic. Mr. Dimitri, what is up, man? And he's dropping a $50 dono. Absolutely massive. Positive rates right back to Dimitri. I'm going to give you a little Kawati Mundi salute as well, my friend. Where are my positive rates at? Oh, there they are. Little something because it's been a minute. Mr. Dimitri, thank you so much, man, for your continued support on the channel. I hope everything is well. I hope the family's well. And I hope you're ready to enjoy a nice flight up to Porto Alegre, my friend. Can you dispatch with the rat knob? No. All right, we done loading yet? I feel like we've been here a minute. Almost. So, bleed is on. Everything else is done. Let's close up some doors. Let's go ground services. Let's go ahead and disconnect from the GPU. Let's get rid of the stairs. Probably cargo doors are closed up. If you check the hydraulic page, you can see that they're running the yellow electric pump here. That's to close the cargo door. Sometimes I keep that hydraulic page on there when I'm waiting on rampers to shut the door. As soon as I see this pressurized, I know, hey, they're closing the doors out there. We'll be ready to go here in just a second. So that's done, and all we have is one left, and there it is. Dismiss. Boarding is completed. So what do we've got? 125.3 and 29.9 in the CG. So we'll go back here. What did I say? 125 what? 125.3. 125.3 and 29.9. I also had a CG not update on that heavy 321 out of Vegas where we had to do a Toga, and it wouldn't give us. It gave us a trim disagree message. It was. I'm just gonna have to tell you guys all about it in the in an After Dark podcast, because I could literally talk, and I want to talk. I want to debrief 2 serious flights I've had recently. It's just like when it rains it pours, pun intended, you know, just a lot of stuff went wrong and little things happening here and there, just crazy stuff. But I think I might have to dedicate a podcast to it. All right, everything else, dude, we'll do our final load here. We'll send off our numbers. 1740-40 Toga required flaps 1. Oops, wrong button. 17 and 40-40 flaps 1 Toga. Transition altitude is 3,000 feet. Actually, I think they said 4,000, right, in the ATIS. Trans altitude is 4,000 today. No flex. Flaps 1. And beautiful. Let's go ahead and close up, and we'll give them a call. Ready to push and start. Dimitri says, I really enjoy the pressure accumulator trick with the cargo doors. Awesome, Dimitri. Yeah, next time if you're ever on an Airbus, take a sneak peek. I know it's kind of one of the old salty captains. He's long since retired now. He told me that trick, and I remember looking up sometimes, like if I'm deadheading or not, and I'll see some guys. I look up and I can see that lower ECAM. It's on the hydraulic page, and I used to wonder why they got the hydraulic page up, and it's just because he's waiting for that electric motor to start, and then he knows, okay, they're closing doors. Let's go, because it does take, it takes probably a minute or so, 30 seconds to a minute to close the doors and get latched up. So if you know that they're actively closing it, hey, you can get the paperwork out the door, and as soon as they call you on the headset, you can push back and roll out. So what was I doing? Oh yeah, oh dang it, ground services. See, I'm even rusty here on the iPad. Let's go ahead and close that door, get rid of the jetway. It didn't close, did it? We'll get the beacon on. There we go. All right, we'll wait for the doors to arm up here, and we're out. V1 All Night Podcast. Yes, sir, Fubar. Any plans for a podcast with Blackbox? Yes, I know who Blackbox is. Love Blackbox 711. I actually watched part of his stream in the 747 he was flying the other day. I'd love to do a podcast with him. I might have to send him a DM and see what's going on. I'd love to just sit back and chat with him. I think that'd be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Massive respect for Mr. Blackbox 711. Great. I mean, I don't know him personally. I've had no one-on-one conversation with him, but he's a solid dude. I've listened to his podcast on the Blue Experience podcast. I feel like I just said podcast 42 times, but he's a solid dude for sure. All right, off 1-3, we know where we're going. I guess I should, since we have ATC, we don't want to look too American. We need to get our ground charts out here so we don't taxi the wrong way. We got our 40-9 up. We're going to 1-3. That's expected, probably via Alpha. Let's give him a call for push and start. Aero Park Tower, Land Chile 357, ready for push and start off gate 4.
Land 357. Push and startup is approved. Reported for taxi.
Push and start approved. We'll call you for taxi. Land Chile 357. All right, windows, doors, and slides there. Closing arm. Beacon on. Thrust levers idle. Parking brake. It is on. Before start checklist is complete. Let me go ahead and do, since VATSIM is here, we're going to go auto. We're going to go on. And I think we can leave that in standby mode, right? I think that's what somebody said. We don't actually need to.
Aeropark Tower, go 1978, ready for taxi.
Yeah, let's go ahead and connect tug.
Goal 1978, taxi via Juliet.
I guess I called him before the tug was connected. Bought the kit Fox for Microsoft, now I'm trying to convince myself not to buy a real one. Oh boy, Jeff.
131, and okay, that's it. Go 1978.
Bernardo Ramos says, hello Captain, could you tell me what is that thing called Toga? Toga is takeoff and go around thrust. So instead of doing a flex takeoff or a reduced thrust takeoff, use Toga, which is your max available power firewall to throttles. So, all right, cockpit to ground. You ready for brake release? That's Furbith Captain. All right, brakes released, and you are clear to push straight back. Copy. Commencing pushback. Whoa, look at that guy. Hey, when's that 737-800 supposed to release anyway? Look at this. Look at this little wheelie thing going on back there. Man, oh man. All right, let's go ahead and start them up on the pushback, shall we? Ignition mode to ignition start. Turning 1. Enjoy the startup sounds that aren't there.
For all aircraft, anti-frequency information Delta is available. Todas las aeronaves meta frecuencia, la información Delta disponible.
Captain, pushback complete. Set brakes. Brakes are set. Clear disconnection with pin out front. We're starting number 2. Copy. Pimp my 7.3. Looks like a toolbar pushback back over there, Tony Johns. That's exactly what it looked like. Thing was jacked up like 20 feet in the air. Got a pool and big urn for the 800 release party. Oh yeah. We might have to. Here's the thing. I'm going to piss a lot of people off, but on the 800 release party, I might fly the 600 in a retro Southwest livery. But I wanted it like from Phoenix to San Jose. Again, I love that route. I don't know why. We need Big Earn on stream to congratulate him for his 4th bar. I know. I've been watching. I've been keeping up a little bit with his videos there. He just made captain. Let's congrats to him. Jeremy says, did you lose power at your house during those storms? I don't believe so, Jeremy, and I wasn't even home, though, and I don't think my wife probably would have told me. I was out flying in those storms. All right, looks like we got a good start on 2, do we? No, we don't. We're still turning. I don't use toolbar pushback anymore. There's the Avail light. And we're doing a flaps 1. I don't use toolbar pushback anymore because it used to cause issues. I don't know if it still does or not, but I mean, I don't really need it. It's the airplanes I fly have their own pushbacks, and it's all good. All right, that's coming off. That's coming off. We are 0.1 down, I believe, on the trim, right? So we're just going to do this. That is set. Let's take a look at this company message. That's the final. Well, you can accept that. Cool deal. Back on the flight plan page. Done. VRF Simmer, thank you for joining the channel, my friend. Welcome to Private Pilot, dude. Glad to have you on board. Welcome. Welcome to the channel. Exclamation point welcome for your new perks here in the chat. All right, after start checklist, engine AI soft, fuel electric pump is off, rudder trim 0. After start checklist is complete. We are flaps 1. Let's roll. We're going to go ahead and keep this on the 10-9 page. Aero Park Tower, land Chile 357, ready taxi.
Land Chile 357, taxi via Mike Alpha to holding point runway 13, QNH 1017. Report.
All right, taxi holding point, run 3 via Mike Alpha with 1017 QNH for land Chile 357. All right, holding point for 13. I'm pretty sure it's over there. That's what they say. In this part of the world, they say holding point, which I believe is actually more standard than what we do in the U.S. All right, brakes are released. Taxi light is on. Here we go. Was Mike a left turn? I hope Mike was a left turn. Now I need to check because I don't remember where Mike was. Oh yeah, Mike is right here. All right, we're good. We're spinning it around. Mike is right out here. Then a right turn on Alpha. Brake check, pressure 0. And we do a mini brief. Keith Davey, thank you for the $5 donation, my friend. Got the little laughing above sticker there. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for your $5 super chat. Appreciate the support. Hope you're enjoying the content. Just in time for Toga takeoff. Hi, Captain. Can you make a tutorial how to use the radio panel? Sometimes it's confusing. All the buttons. Oh, I hear you. You know what? That's a great idea because the radio panel on the Airbus is definitely a little bit tricky to understand at first and exactly what happens when you do certain things with it. That's a great idea for a video, my friend. I will try to get that done here. Maybe we can talk about it once we get up in cruise. Matter of fact, once we get up in cruise, let's do a little in-depth segment. Someone remind me. We'll do an in-depth segment on the radio panel. Because I even see new hires. All right, so this is the ILS critical area. They're not doing Cat 2s, Cat 3s, so we can continue to cross this. That's the only time you'll cross a solid hold bar like that, is if they're not using Cat 3. You don't need a clearance to cross that. Or Cat 2 in that case. That's an ILS critical area. Hi, Captain. Oh, I already did the one. Hey, Laughing, what's up, man? Welcome. How are the graphics so good? Microsoft Flight Simulator, my friend. All right, let's do a flight control check. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, rudder, full left, full right, neutral. And we'll go auto brakes max, takeoff config on. That's coming on. That doesn't move. TARA over here. Flight attendants prepare for takeoff. This is going to be a pretty little departure, I think, out of here. Oh, yeah. Man, I cannot wait for some IAE engines. Where you at, Phoenix? IAE engines are going to just be awesome. Dwayne, what's up, man?
Chile 357, wind 070 degrees, 6 knots, clear for lineup and takeoff, runway 13.
All right, cleared for takeoff, runway 13 for land Chile 357. That was kind of weird. He said cleared for lineup and takeoff 13. Again, that's some of the phraseology. And I'm going to actually confirm. And just confirm land Chile 357. We are cleared for takeoff, runway 13.
Land Chile 357, clear for takeoff, runway 13, correct.
Got me, cleared for takeoff 13, land Chile 357. So because he said cleared for lineup and takeoff, that's just a phrase that I'm just not too familiar with. So I'm going to give him a double check, right? It's always good to double check on the ground. All right, we got 295 watching, 100-something likes. Let's get those likes up, folks.
AKA Alberto D.
What's up, Alberto? What's going on, man? Thank you for the $5 dono, man. Bank angle check right back at you. Alberto, always a pleasure. Hope you enjoy the takeoff, my friends. Here we go. Rolling yoga. Let's do it. Spool them up 50. I like that idea, Scott. Rolling yoga. Here we go. Stable. Yoga.
Argentina 1206, Aeroparque Torre.
Oh, yeah.
Tiene autorizado vuelo instrumental.
All right, we are Mantoga SRS runway. Auto thrust is blue.
La salida lambda 3 Bravo, pista en uso
Thrust set.
13 y el transponder
100 knots.
1601.
V1. Rotate.
350, la salida lambda 3 Bravo por la 13. Respondemos en
Positive rate. Gear up. Navin.
Argentina 1206, colación correcta, verifica listo para reto.
Fly with. Watch your ears. Gosh, that's awesome. Oh, gotta start the turn. We gotta fly. I want to look outside, but we gotta actually fly the departure here.
Airport traffic, also 4912.
Trey Simmons. Get to that here in just a second, man. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. There's our positive trend. Thrust climb, climb, Navin. We're in the left turn. Whew. That is beautiful.
357, continue climbing to flight level 370 and contact Unicom 122.8. Have a good flight.
Continue climb to flight level 370 over to Unicom 122.8. Thanks for the ATC. Land Chile 357. See ya.
See you.
All right, there's S-speed flaps of 0 after takeoff checklist. Gosh, that looks so good. So much juice on this. Man, if I got paid the same to fly Microsoft Flight Simulator as I do to fly the real Airbus, I don't know if I'd go back to work. Because, I mean, you can enjoy all the views and the sounds and do it from the comfort of your own home or office. That's awesome. The immersion we get, you know, in these sims. There's 4,000, there's standard. Let's go ahead and we'll continue hand flying. Well, let's go ahead and we'll do standard set there. We're speeding below 10 now. That's my bad. I'm following the flight directors very good. We'll zoom out our ND a little bit, and we need to go to 122.8. Yeah, speed limit exceeded. My bad. I'm just one of them American pilots down here in Brazil. Oh, great. What now? Oh, barrel ref. That's because Phantom didn't sync his thing up. There we go. Boom. All right, we're rocking and rolling. Man, that was nice. Let me go back outside for a second. Freaking sweet, huh? Trey Simmons, thank you so much for the $10 super chat, man. He says, appreciate you taking the time to teach us. You're the man. Trey Simmons, thank you so much, dude. You are the reason why that I do these streams. You know, guys that are accepting of the content that I teach and trying to teach little tidbits here. I mean, you and all you guys in chat are the reason I do what I do here, so I appreciate the support very much. Thank you. All right. That's good. Since we've got the eye adaptation, I'm going to drop the sunshade just so... I mean, look at that. So that's... I like this and I hate this because it's annoying, yes. I wish I could just hit a button for sunglasses and it would lighten up my cockpit the same way as this does. Maybe someone could make a mod. Because I hate flying with this in front of my face here on stream. Because in real life, right now, away from the sun, I would probably have my sunglasses on. But it just makes everything kind of dim. So I'm just going to hit that. We're out of 10,000 feet. Let's go ahead and clean up the airplane. We're still hand flying. This is a beautiful straight out departure. Nothing really to mess around with. One thing that I did the other day, we'll do a forward call here. I actually forgot the lights on the roll. It's like, can't be doing that. I had, because it was a lineup and weight clearance, and then eventually I got the takeoff clearance. I just never turn the lights on. That's kind of a stupid thing, so I got to make sure I don't do that again. Jeremy says that the fly-by-wire system control the speed at which you rotate regardless of how quickly you pull the stick on rotation. I saw you pull back pretty quick. No, Jeremy, it does not. And so remember, when we're on the ground, there's like those little whiskers here. People call them the whiskers or the plus sign, and it shows your stick movement. Because on the ground, we are in ground mode, which means that the airplane is actually in a direct relationship with side stick deflection. And with flight control deflection and side stick input. So very similar to direct law flying. You know, when you fly in direct law, it's very twitchy. So on these older Airbuses, and I say older Airbuses because they're in the Neos and stuff, there's like new rotation laws that help smooth the process out. But that initial rotation, if you are too aggressive, you will absolutely 100% smack the tail on the ground. There is nothing limiting you from doing that. You just want a nice, smooth 3 degrees per second on the pullback. Now, depending on the trim setting and the weight of the aircraft, it might be a little bit different, but that is the reason why we actually set takeoff trim. Because in the Airbus, it's such a good airplane, doesn't matter where you put this trim wheel. If this thing is in the green, this little arrow here, if I had it all the way up here or all the way at the end, and I went to take off, it does not matter. The airplane will lift off, it will fly, it will burn fuel in CG, and it will land in CG. The main reason we set the trim is so that all takeoffs feel the same. And while it's impossible to make it feel exactly the same, it makes it feel very similar. And the reason being is you want to have a similar feeling on rotation because you do not want to rotate too fast and strike the tail or under-rotate. Under-rotating is kind of overlooked, but it can be just as dangerous as over-rotating and hitting the tail. If you under-rotate or rotate too slow, if you lose an engine, now all of your performance numbers that said that you could clear an obstacle at the end of the runway single engine, that has all gone out the window because you haven't had the performance and the trajectory for the aircraft energy going into the second segment climb phase. So under-rotating is actually a hazard just as much as over-rotating. Now I think over-rotating is more common. It would be more common for an over-rotation to cause an incident rather than an under-rotation, because if you under-rotate, you also need an engine to fail. And how often does that happen? But it is part of the plan, part of our thought process when you're going down the runway. So, all right, since we are in Unicom, let's straighten out the line, shall we? I don't want to fly all the way out here. Let's go direct to ACPOD. Is that on my? Yeah, let's go direct to ACPOD. Boom. Send it. Here we go. Roll it in. Bank angle check-in. They're flight directors, not flight suggesters. That's a good one. Jeremy says, I was going to say I thought there was rotation loss. So yes, Jeremy, specifically in the Neo, they have a whole different set of I don't want to call it laws, but like principles and blending how do I put this? Basically, the characteristics in a modern Neo is a lot different than they were in the classic 320s. So and when I say blend mode, basically from takeoff roll, from rotation to flight mode. So on the ground mode, when we're going down the runway and it's a direct relation between side stick input and flight control deflection, we have to blend that into flight mode, right? It takes approximately, 5 to 6 seconds or something, like 3 to 7 seconds. I can't remember the exact number. But during that time, you have to make sure you keep the side stick back and keep the airplane pointed in the right direction. Now with the new Neos and stuff, the blend is actually much different, and you can really feel it because you can just start pulling back, and it almost, I don't know the actual science behind it, but it feels like it gets into that flight mode much quicker than it used to on a classic 320. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that for now. Let's go ahead and get the autopilot back on. We're going we're climbing up to 370. Blase Green says, I got to marshal in my first plane yesterday. Blase Green, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. I bet that was fun. Get to marshal it in. Talk about my little marshalling story here, too, in a minute on that crazy flight I had in the rain. But thank you for your continued support of 3 months as a commercial pilot, Blase Green. I appreciate you, man. Gustavo, what's up? He says, when I worked for TAM prior to the merge with Land to LATAM, we had a near-miss loading in SPSP with a very forward CG. The guys cleared the number below 30 feet with 10. Wow. With full aft stick. Dang. So they were totally misloaded. That's very scary, Gustavo. And that's interesting you bring that up. I had I wouldn't say similar, but there was an instance when I was in Jamaica, And I was an FO at the time, and the ground crew came up and said, hey, they gave us the bag sheet, the load report, and everything was loaded in the wrong zone on the bag sheet. And I said, are you sure that, and he's like, oh no, it's just written wrong. They're actually in the right compartment. And I said, I'm going to go look. I went and looked, and they were all in the wrong compartment. So either he was lying to me or he didn't know. But had we have taken off, it would have been interesting. But yeah, that's, you know, got to put faith in the ground handlers that they load it correctly. But that's no joke, man. A misproper CG can really be detrimental to the airplane. Absolutely. Flight model transition blending. Flight mode transition blending. Thank you, Chaos. Thank you. Thank you. That's what I'm going for. I'm counting the days till you start teaching us the ins and outs of the A310. Going to be a fun plane. Oh, the 310 is going to be a blast. I cannot wait for the 310. I really, really enjoyed the 310 on X-Plane 11. I think that airplane, it's so cool. You know, I think especially for all of us that are Airbus fans and anybody who's flown the new Airbus, the narrow bodies, because you can really see where Airbus kept some old systems and they kind of modified it, and they made more systems automated. But when you look at the cockpit and the overhead, you can think, okay, so it's very familiar because you know what it's trying to accomplish. You just have to accomplish those tasks manually, as opposed to in the modern narrow body, a lot of that stuff is now automated. But it's just neat. Even what's cool to me though is like even on the original A300, it still had the auto pack shut off to get bleed pressure for engine start. The fact that you still have to turn off bleeds in the freaking 737 MAX just blows my mind, right? I mean, like, really, Boeing? You couldn't even get like an auto pack cut out? The A300 came out with that. That's just crazy to me. Just nuts. Mr. Cam 321 in chat. What's going up, man? Hope everyone is doing amazing. Cam, I'm glad you stopped by because I wanted to tell you my little story about flying into Orlando in a 319 right after I was thinking about that message you sent. How can we see your estimated time when you be at TOD? Rex Royce, I think, is it up here? Is it over here, or did it get grayed out? I think because I fast-forwarded the sim, it might have been messed up. But whatever that time says, I can't read it. Only you guys can read it. The current sim time right now is 2029Z. So I don't know if that makes sense or not. But I can tell you right now, hold on. TOD is predicted to be at 2105Z, and time now is 2030. So you got about an hour. No, you got less than an hour. You got about 35 minutes. Jeez, math me. About 35 minutes or so till we hit TOD. We're climbing out 26 to 37. It's very, very smooth. So let's just go ahead and kill the seatbelt sign off right now. We'll make our PAs, and we're going to sit back, relax, and enjoy this flight here. Let me go ahead and, well, I guess we'll leave that up for now. E-Friend says, good evening, Captain. In terms of realism, is the Fenix better than the Tolis 319 and 321? God, I hate it when I get these questions because it's a different sim. I'm going to put it this way. If you're just going to get in and fly A to B, you're not doing any subsystem failing, you're not doing any abnormal situations, you just want to fly A to B, they're pretty much dead even. Now, in my opinion, the platform and the environment of Microsoft is more realistic than X-Plane. X-Plane can get very close when you have a bunch of add-ons, you got your weather add-ons and all that stuff. It can be very close. But just as if you just wanted to compare straight airplanes, airplane to airplane, and you're just doing normal operations, no abnormals, they're pretty much close to dead even. I do like the fact that in the Tolis, you have much more realistic engine manipulation and parameters because they have their own engine models. So I think the engines are more realistic as far as spool-up times and thrustlet output and fuel burns and all that. Now, if you wanted to do abnormal stuff, maybe you saw, maybe you didn't. When I did my check ride preparation stream, when all we did was emergencies, I was in the Tolis. Because, yes, the Fenix does some stuff correctly, and it does a lot of stuff correctly that used to be correct on some older airplanes. Tolis has a little bit modern ECAM in certain scenarios. It has a modern ECAM, and in some certain scenarios, the Fenix has a better simulation. But the Tolis is no slouch. It's very hard to pit them against each other. It comes down to which simulator do you want to be in. Do I use the landing performance? Yes, I do, Kevin. Yes, I do. Absolutely. I was going to say, okay. Yes, Cam. So my only complaint on Tullis is manual startup. Never attempted one in the Phoenix. I attempted one, Gustavo, in the Phoenix, and it worked flawlessly. I haven't done one in the Tullis in a long time. I don't know if it doesn't work or something. I haven't actually tried it. But hey, real quick, my wife is dropping off a fruity refresher drink. Give me 2 minutes. I'll be right back. And Cam, I want to talk to you about the thrust levers here real quick. Be right back. All right, we're back at it. I got my nice refresher drink. Where is it? Where's my Cam at? These things. So, my wife turned me on to these little like refreshers from Starbucks. Gosh, they're good. I'm addicted to them now. All right. Yeah, foofy drink. Yeah, pink. You're not going to see me carrying it around the airport, but if you see me carrying like a venti cup and it's got like a paper cup around it, that's probably what's in it. This one is I don't know what this one is. She gets them. This one is I can't even read it. I don't know. But it's pink and purple, and it's got like some fruit in it, and it's freaking amazing. But it's, yeah. You're not going to catch me buying one. But I will drink it 100%. All right. So Cam, the other day, and if you're just tuning in, so Cam asked me in the members only section, he was asking me about the thrust levers. That's what it is, Sandro. It's a strawberry acai or acai refresher. Yeah, they're good, dude. So he was asking me, like, in the thrust levers, do you move between detents when you're flying the real airplane? And whoa, so massive dono coming in from Mr. Iron Man with a $100 bomb. That is absolutely massive. If you're a member, spam some positive rates in chat for Mr. Iron Man, dropping a huge support to the channel here. Mr. Iron Man, I can't thank you enough. He says, afternoon, Captain. Good afternoon, right back at you, dude. And cheers to you with my fruity Starbucks refresher drink. That is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for your support. Respect Tony Stark. Wow. Absolutely awesome. Tony Stark is in the house, indeed. Thank you, Iron Man. I appreciate you, man. That goes a long way. Run on the V1 HQ does take a lot of money and time, so I appreciate all the support I can get. It's very gracious. Thank you. And at the same time, Mr. Fly with Rookie had dropped a bank angle check, $5. Thank you so much, Mr. Fly with Rookie. Bank angle check right back at you, dude. I appreciate all of the support, whether it be just a like on the video, a subscribe, a 1 cent donation to massive donos like Mr. Tony Stark here in the house with a $100 bomb. Appreciate you guys. You guys are very awesome. Thank you. I'm making you thirsty for one flicks? Yeah, they're good. So and I guess I'll look at the thrust lever quadrant. So Cam was asking me about, do you move into the detents when you're hand flying the airplane? Now, I will say this, and I've said it before, on every trip on the last leg, or maybe even, it depends on just how sporty I'm feeling, I'll turn the auto thrust off on landing whenever, unless it's like a hard IMC down to minimums, or obviously if you're doing an auto land you have to keep the auto thrust on. But if I'm feeling like it, it's very common for me to disengage the thrust levers for the approach segment of flight. Sometimes I do it at 10,000, sometimes I do it at on a vector at 3,000 coming in. But he asked me, do I go past the detents a lot? And the answer is no. And the reason being for that is if you have a TCA stick, and I pointed this out on my review video of the Airbus TCA, the detents on the Airbus thrust levers are very close together and they're all equally spaced out. On the real airplane, they're much further apart. You can see here we have idle to climb is a pretty significant portion, and then from climb to MCT, this is also an active thrust range here. You can move the thrust levers between climb and MCT, and that is available thrust. The thing is, unless you're in a climb profile or you are climbing out, you're probably not going to go past the climb detent unless you're doing, like I said, you're in an aggressive climb or maybe an escape maneuver. All the thrust that I need, especially in the approach phase, is between climb and zero. And it's very comfortable to fly, and this was a big reason for the ThrottleTeks for me, is I wanted that full one-to-one range of motion with my thrust levers, and I can manipulate the thrust levers without going through a bunch of detents, which, yes, it is very weird. It makes the engine spool very weird when you have a short range of throw there. Now, I'm not saying, is it unusable, is it unflyable? No, you can do it, you can get by with it, whatever. But in the real airplane, even at level flight, like at 180 knots, if your flaps 2, you don't need hardly much more than like 60% N1s or 60% thrust. So that's still well below that climb detent. The detent here for climb, all it is a detent. It's just a physical detent in the thrust levers. It does nothing. It doesn't give you a certain thrust output. It doesn't do anything else other than lets you know, hey, this is an approximate climb power setting for you. So yes, on the descent and approach phase, leveling, don't even need more than 60%. On approach, depending on the airframe you're in, you're looking at about 51, 52%. Heavy 321, you might need a little bit more thrust. But one thing that I was particularly excited about, and I guess I never really paid attention to it until, because I read Cam's message about what's it like to hand fly with the thrust levers and the climb detents, literally right before I took off with the before I got on the airplane to go fly a 319. So on approach, and it was a beautiful morning, it was like calm, cool, no thermal activity. I had the auto thrust off, and one thing that I particularly noticed with the 319, and this is another reason why I love the 319, when I was setting my thrust for approach, I'm moving 1% N1 maybe, like I might go from 50 to 51%. I could hear that change in thrust, just the little bit of up, and I was impressed, and I never really paid attention to it before, but I could physically hear even like a 0.5% change in pitch of the engines. Now on a 321, I think it would be different. I'm going to try it next time I'm in a 321 with the auto thrust off, but with the 319, you're sitting much closer to the engines. And it just made for, I was so keen on it, I was paying attention to the thrust and manipulating the thrust, and it was really cool. I can physically hear that 0.5% change in the thrust output, even like 0.3%. And I was moving them, very little. When I move the thrust levers on approach, once you set it to, say 50%, you're really just, I'm not even using my arm to move the thrust levers. I'm kind of just using my fingers to kind of just move them back, get them set up right where they are. I look at the trend arrow and I look at my VAP speed here, and I make sure the trend arrow is neutral like it is right now. There's no positive or negative trend in airspeed, so I know I'm in the right zone. But it was very cool that when I paid attention to it, I was impressed by the sound that I could pick up on. So I'm going to try that again when I'm in a 321 to see if I can pick up on that or not, or if it's more just kind of looking at the gauge. But yeah, I didn't need to go above the climb detent at all. I think the most thrust I ever used, I leveled at 180 knots at flaps 2. I think I was using maybe 65, 67% thrust. That was it, and it was still well below the climb detent. So that's my long-winded answer for you, Cam. But yeah, I wish we had a 319 here in Microsoft. I might have to hop into TOLUS and take a listen with the BSS pack, but I want to know if I can hear the same change of thrust, even the smallest percent. It was cool. I could just hear those fans spinning up a little bit more, and I absolutely greased it too on Orlando 1.8 right. I mean, it was just a greaser of a 319, and it was a light 319 too, which was hard to do. So not to toot my own horn, but it was because I've had my fair share of hard landings. I talk about them here on the channel, but this particular one I was tuned in, and it was a nice approach and landing. Mark Tatum, thank you for the $10 dono, my friend. He says, any suggestions on how to calculate the detents for the fly-by-wire? When I'm at the idle detent, the aircraft's at idle reverse. Thank you for all the info. Mark Tatum, absolutely, man. Thank you for the $10 super chat, my friend. Thank you for the support. First off, first things first. Whenever, I don't know which hardware you're using. That might help a little bit, but whatever your hardware you're using for your thrust levers, make sure you have no curves. Make sure you have no curves set up in the default profile and settings, because for some reason Microsoft adds these curvature values that'll really mess up your detents in the thrust range. So make sure you have no curves. Make sure everything's straight and linear first. That's the first thing. Second thing, in the fly-by-wire specifically, make sure you're using the iPad to calibrate. Now, I can't give you exact instructions because I don't think I ever calibrated the fly-by-wire with anything other than my ThrottleTek and my Honeycomb Bravo. So if you're using something else, I don't really have an idea for you, but I would say if you don't have thrust reverse on the same axis, make sure you turn that off as well, because there's an option in the EFB that says use reverse thrust on same axis. You only want to use that if you have reverse thrust and you're using it as an axis. If you don't, make sure you turn that option off. That way you're at idle thrust on your hardware and it will stay at idle thrust in the sim. So do those two things. Make sure there's no weird curvature. Make sure you have reversed on same axis off if you're not using it. And then other than that, man, I think 320 SimPilot did a good tutorial on how to bind it. I never watched it because I don't have those hardware anymore. But if you're using the Thrustmaster, I believe he's got a tutorial video on just how to do it. So try there. We have a message from Land Ops because we were delayed, but we weren't really delayed. It was because I sped the time forward. So we're good there. Everything is fine. We're leveling off here. We're approaching our ETP 370. And I think we're good. All right, radio tutorial. Absolutely. Let me get to that here real quick. You guys got some great questions. We're just going to keep clipping along here. I guess I'll turn the, should I turn the ThrottleTek cam off? Put you back in a live cam here. Boom. Oops. Don't need that theme anymore. All right, let's talk about radios for a little bit. Yeah, we'll just use them here. Run Unicom. And I'm going to put both radios in the screen because there might be you might actually learn something here on this little discussion on the radio panel of what it does and what it doesn't do. Mark Tatum says 320 Sim was on the Fenix and it worked great. Thank you for the info here using Thrustmaster. Gotcha, Mark Tatum. Yeah, hopefully you can find another tutorial on YouTube for that, because I know a lot of people use the Thrustmaster thrust levers. So it's probably something silly. It's probably something silly in your settings or ghost binding or whatnot. So hopefully you'll be able to work that out, man. I wish I had a better answer for you, but unfortunately, since I don't have that hardware, it's kind of hard for me to give you a definitive answer. What does ETP stand for? Estimated time to P. Estimated time to P. No, it's an equitime point. Equitime point. All right. So, looking at our radios, you got to understand, we have two radio panels in the aircraft. Well, actually, three. We got one on the overhead. You could, I think, possibly have four. You got two actual sets of radio panels here. And each panel can do the same thing that the other one can do. So basically, they're redundant in what they do. Now, first things first, let's talk about the active frequency box and the standby box. The active frequency box is, at all times, the frequency that you are actively going to be speaking to when you press the mic. If you have the proper mic button selected, which we're going to get to in a minute. But the active frequency box is what you want to look at. And sometimes you might get confused. It's not, because it's on the left side out here, it's on the left side over here on the FO side. So this one says standby. So make sure you are looking at the active frequency box. The active frequency box is what you're going to actively communicate on if you have your radio set up properly. Just below that, you've got your radio selectors. We can actually select between VHF1, VHF2, or VHF3. Now, VHF3 is basically a data one. We're not going to talk about that. But this is how you would toggle between both radios, VHF1 and VHF2. When I select VHF2, we see that we're on 124.8. That is the active frequency. However, you're not necessarily communicating on this frequency unless your mic button is selected correctly. So to know which one you're going to be communicating on, you come down here to the mic selection. So these are your radio selections, VHF1, VHF2, and your microphone selection is down here, VHF2, VHF3, HF, which is high frequency radios, high frequency 2, intercom, and cabin. Now cabin, this is how you would talk to the flight attendants over the handset, so basically the cabin can't hear you. Intercom, this is how you talk to the ground crew and talk to the pilot next to you if your radio switches are both in the intercom position. HF is for HF frequency communications. VHF3, you don't necessarily talk on VHF3, and VHF2 is, you know, the same as VHF1. It's just a second radio. So with that little rundown, you can see that if you do not have the proper alignment of your lights here, you could be talking on the wrong frequency. So I could have VHF2 be like, all right, I've got active 124.8, let me communicate on 124.8, and I can key up the mic and I can start talking right now, but I'm not on the right frequency because look what's down here. My mic selector is still on VHF1. So the easiest way to remember how to set up your radio properly is to align your green lights. Boom, boom. Now, the reason the cell light comes on, that means that everything is on a different radio, right? So VHF1, and this should be on VHF1 too. So basically, I don't think that's actually working properly, but don't worry about that cell light. It's for an awareness thing, but that makes it more confusing. If you want to talk on a radio, make sure your lights are lined up. Boom, boom. If I want to talk on 2, I'm going to talk on 2. And I want to hear on 2. So just below the mic selector is the audio selector. Now, in order to hear somebody or something on this frequency, you got to pop it out. So you pop it out, it illuminates. That means it's on, you're actively listening, and then you have the little dial. All the way to the right is max volume. All the way to the left is min volume, or essentially mute. So typically you keep it here. Now in cruise, the way we set up our radios here in the US and how we always fly, and most airlines do the same thing, you'll have your active frequency on COM 1, right? So you're looking like this. This is kind of what you're looking like. But on VHF2, we're going to monitor the emergency radio frequency, which is 121.5. So at 10,000 feet, the pilot monitoring will come over here and he will switch to VHF2 and he will select 121.5. Now you see here, I didn't save it. That's kind of weird. So 121.5. And now I want to put 121.5 in the active VHF2. So I'll move that over. So now I'm listening to VHF2 if I put the VHF2 audio on, which I want. So I want to stay on 122.8. That's my communications. But now I can listen to the emergency frequency should someone want to say something. Now, if I'm sitting up here and I'm on 122.8 and I hear someone talking on guard, I'm like, what frequency are they talking on? Hit the VHF2 button, confirm you're on guard, and then you can come back over here and respond. Align your lights, and you can respond on the second radio. All right? So these are kind of the basic. VHF2 is for Delta Ops, exactly. All right, how do pilots make, I see this from Anthony, he says, how do pilots make the wrong cabin announcements? So that typically comes from a Boeing because theirs is set up a little bit different, or the Embraer, you can do it in the Embraer. But basically, there's two ways to talk directly to the passengers. You can press this PA push button right here. You see when I press it, it takes away my active VHF1 because it says, hey, you're actively talking on the PA now. So you could, if you wanted to hear yourself talk, you can turn this up here. A lot of little guys like to do this. So you can actually hear yourself make a PA. Now you have to press and hold this button to make a PA. And then when you're done, you know, you can turn it off. But that is one way to talk to the passengers. Now, the passenger volume, or the audio that the passengers will hear, is going to be the loudest when you use this button right here. This would be the number one way to communicate in an abnormal situation. The second way you can talk to the passengers in the back is via the phone, which is kind of hard to see, but right here. You pop this phone out, and it says press to talk, and that will come over the cabin as well. So if you make a habit of only talking to the people with using this phone, you will very rarely, if ever, talk to the cabin when you're trying to talk to ATC, because you're never going to call ATC up on this phone. At least you shouldn't. All right. So most announcements, 99% of announcements I make are over this handset, I should say, to the passengers in the back, because it's a little bit quieter audio. You don't blare them out as much, and it eliminates the confusion of accidentally talking over the radio. So you can use a handset, you can use the PA button, and there you go. Now, if you're just chilling up here in flight and you want to listen to the flight attendants make their announcements, you can have the PA button on. Now, this is very loud and it can be obnoxious when you're listening to busy ground traffic and intercommunications with the co-pilot. So you typically don't see pilots flying with this button on. However, on the overhead, we do fly with that button on the third radio panel. And the volume must be at least halfway. The reason for this being is in the event of an accident and they need to pull the CVR or pull the cockpit tapes, we want the flight attendant announcements on the CVR. So we're going to turn the third radio, I should say, and I'm not saying radio, that was an incorrect term. This is not a radio, this is a controller, okay? It's a radio management panel, all right? It's not an actual radio up here, this is just another controller to listen in on stuff. And typically for the jump seater, if you have a jump seater, he might want to listen to communications, or he might want to turn on his intercom. So he'll come over here and he'll plug in his headset. Typically the primary headset jack's over here. So you see we got a headset, boom, boom, plugged in. Then he can listen and join the conversation with you guys. If everybody's talking on intercom, he can go like this, put his button on intercom up here, and now we're all talking. Unfortunately, he will have to listen to the PAs, because you want the PA button out and on, so all announcements from the cabin crew are recorded on the CVR. So that's just a third controller. It's not an actual radio. It's just think of it as a remote controller. So how do you make a telephone call when there's a possible pilot deviation? You do that on the ground, Blase Green. You do that on the ground. When you hear that over the radio, like say, hey, I got a number for you to copy, that you're literally copying a phone number, where you're going to make a phone number. You're going to make that call once you land at your destination. You're not going to call in air. You're not going to use a sat phone. Depending on the operator, you may have a satellite phone. You can have sat phones over the captain's seat back here. You can have them in the closet. Just depends where they install them. I think a lot of the domestic fleets here in the U.S. are kind of getting away from sat phone with the use of CPDLC, and of course we have ACARs, we can communicate with. So you don't really, sat phones are kind of going by the wayside. But there you go. I saw a video where ATC was able to speak to the cabin. A marriage proposal, all very wholesome. Yes, AA Ron, I listened to that a very long time ago. And essentially, so I think it was an Airbus too. So what that pilot was doing, so how could we get ATC to play in the cabin? This is a good question. So how can we make ATC play for the cabin if someone wanted to propose to somebody in the back? All right. So backing up a little bit, we're at a 10,000 feet. The pilot monitoring came over here. He pressed VHF2, dialed in 125, put it in the active, turned on our VHF2 so we can monitor. And typically I'll have my VHF1 louder than VHF2, right? Because I always want to hear my primary frequency over the monitoring frequency. So this is how we're setting up. Now, out of 18,000 feet, we go topless. We don't take our shirts off, but we take our headsets off. So instead of flying around on intercom, talking on headsets to one another, what we'll do is we'll actually turn the intercom off, and we will go over here and we will turn the loudspeaker on. So in reality, this would have been off for pushback, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to turn the loudspeaker on. So now what's happening is all audio, instead of coming through the headset, which should be stored up there, or I'll hang mine right here. This is kind of a headset hanger. It's kind of hard to see, but this is where you hang your headset. So now all audio is coming through the speakers in the cockpit. Now, if I need to answer a radio call, it's very simple. I'll just come over here and I'll grab the hand mic, press this red button, and now I'm speaking into a microphone going over to ATC. I don't have to change anything on my panel. but I'm listening to them through the speaker and I'm speaking to them through the hand mic. Some guys will take the hand mic and like hang it over the door so it hangs up here a little bit quicker, just easier to access. I watched one guy one time, he took this hand mic phone thing over here, drooped it over the sunshade, and it was just dangling in front of his face. It was an FO, so it was actually on this side. So I'm sitting there looking at him. He's got his little handheld mic just dangling in front of his face, and we were doing a freaking red eye from like, I don't remember where we're going from, but yeah, same thing. And I think someone else told me this story as well. Someone saw someone else do it. So I don't know if it's a common thing, but I've seen it now once, and I was kind of like, wow, that's interesting. But yeah, he just flew the whole flight with the freaking microphone dangling in front of his face, so when he answered ATC, all he had to do was reach up and press the button. But anyway, I digress. So, like a trucker with a CB mic. Exactly, Chris. All right, so now that we've got the speaker on, we got to enter destination data. Wow, this flight is just ripping by. We're just so fast here. So to get ATC to play in the back, what I would do to eliminate any interference is I would make sure that, obviously this isn't on intercom, and I would pull the hand mic and I would press down on this red button, which means I'm transmitting. And actually, scratch that. I'd go here. I'd go PA. I'd have to press the PA button down and hold it, right? And I would press and hold this down. At the same time, I would have the mic in front of the speaker. So basically what's coming through the speaker is now going into the mic, and because I've got the PA push button down, it's going in over the speakers in the cabin. Now you could take the handset here. I don't know if the cord would reach. Could take the handset and do the same thing. Could take the handset, put the handset in front of the speaker. But these speakers are pretty loud. If you both go max volume here with your speakers, you probably could legitimately just key the handset over here and hold it kind of in the middle, and any message ATC was saying would get pushed right back to the cabin. So you could do it that way too. Multiple different ways. Exactly, Gustavo, exactly. The incredible creature known as a first officer with idle time. I know. They are incredible creatures, my friend. Incredible. All right, so that's kind of a rundown on the speaker, and then of course going through 18,000 feet, we'll probably go intercom back on, we turn the speakers off, and we put our headsets back on, and then all communication is then done through the trigger on the side stick to one another. Now in the Boeing, you actually have to, this intercom spring loads to off, so I see guys in the Boeing, they like get a rubber band or something, and they actually tape it, and I believe in the Boeing, intercom is down, which is weird. So intercom is spring-loaded in the 7.3, at least in some of them that I've seen, that I've jump-seated on. So they rubber band the intercom down so they can talk to each other. Like, that's asinine. Like, geez, come on, Boeing. I don't know if the new ones are any different, but yeah, just weird. Or you always see guys, they have their headsets, but they have to keep one ear cup off because they can't keep the intercom down. Just ridiculous. Just Boeing being Boeing, I guess. But yeah, this is the proper way to have it. You have intercom, which can stay on, and then RAD is basically a momentary push button. So this would be another way to talk. Let's say maybe my trigger on the side stick didn't work. I could press this down and make a radio call through my headset while I'm holding that down and talking to ATC, and it'll spring load to the neutral position or off position. That's how they did it in the 1930s. Exactly, Tony Johns, because the Boeing was created before they had intercom technology. So the intercom was kind of a by the wayside, you know, and they just never changed it. I don't know if the Max 10 or the new ones are any different, but yeah, it's the ones I've seen the guys have, they either just don't use it, or they scream at each other back and forth, or they rubber band it to the intercom position in the Boeing. Used to have soup cans in the cockpit, yeah. All right, we should probably think about our descent. We're 40 miles away. Let me do a quick weather check down here, and then we'll get back to it. But yeah, we kind of went on a little tangent there, and I didn't even finish half of my radio stuff. I wanted about selecting and standby, but hopefully you get a basic knowledge. Takeaways as a summary: if you want to talk on the frequency, make sure your lights are lined up and they're on. You want to have all your lights on that you want to talk on. You want your VHF on, you want your microphone on, and you want your audio on. Line up your lights, make sure you have the proper frequency. Right? And if you want to change change frequencies, you know, you can do whatever you want over on this frequency. It's not going to do anything till you're active. So and then when you want to switch, you hit the switch button. Your previous active frequency will always go to your standby. It will go to the standby over here on the other radio panel as well. So, all right. Anyway, that is done. 122.8 is set. Our lights are lined up, so we're good. Let's go ahead and do some weather. Weather request. SBPA. Is that where we're going? Where are we going? I feel like that's wrong. SBPA. No, that's where we're going. Send it. We're going to get some weather back. We need to start down here pretty soon. We'll get rid of all this. Let's just go to our starred charts. I previously starred them. Al says, was wondering how often will you fly with the same FOs? Seems like it might be sort of random given the whole bidding. Yeah, it's very random. You can buddy bid. Buddy bidding is a thing where you bid to fly with a certain captain, but not very common, you know, unless you have like a good friend or whatnot. Mostly we just want to bid for our personal schedule for that month, and you fly with who you fly with. Now the FOs can have a no-fly list, and they can pick and choose to not fly with certain captains. But all right, 4,000 feet is the bottom. Let's go ahead and mash that. Mock descent, we're starting down. Let's go ahead and put our transponder into below mode. We're idling back. We didn't even get to enjoy any outside views. Wow, sun is setting quicker than I thought. All right, make for another sunset approach, though. Let's take a look at our weather. We'll get all set up, and then we can get back to some more questions. All right, weather down there. Let's go perf. Next phase. QNH is 1019. Or is that an 8? 1019. 1019 is set. Temperature 25. Winds are 310 at 5. Beautiful. All right. That is set up. We're going down to 4,000. We're thrust idle, descent mode, and we're enjoying it. We're going to do the visual approach down there. Basically, we're just going to fly to the runway and make it right downwind. We're not in real time. We fast forwarded 2 hours, so it would be real time +2. It's a customer option for the hot mic, like Airbus. Awesome, Gustavo. Okay, I figured by now they probably have an option for it. But yeah, back some of the older 7.3s, I remember jump seating on. Well, especially when I was a commuter, I was on 7.3s all the time. And I was like, what? They have freaking got to do this rubber band trick? Or I saw one captain one time, he took a coffee stir stick and he wedged it between the mic selectors and the audio selectors, and then he put a rubber band around it. So they created his own lever. It was weird, but it works for him, I guess. Somebody had a question about Flaps 3. Nash Francis, Flaps 3. You're going to use Flaps 3 anytime you're concerned about possibly a go-around, wind shear, or your company SOP. I mean, really, Airways used to land Flaps 3 all the time on the 321. That was kind of their way to do it. But most Airbuses now, at least here in the States, flaps full is pretty standard. But yeah, flaps 3 is always an option. Gusty winds, high gust factor. You know, maybe it's like the winds are 310 at 15, gusting 3.5. So you've got this huge gust factor, right? It's not just a 5 or 10 knot gust. It's like 20 knots of gust every now and then. Might consider flaps 3 landing on that. Wind shear, definitely. The main thing with flaps 3 is you're going to have better performance should you need to go around. Some negatives with flaps 3. You're coming in faster, you're going to have a longer rollout, you're going to have hotter brakes, or you're going to need to use more braking. And that's kind of really the only drawbacks. But yeah, you got that higher true airspeed coming across the ground, you're going to have a higher ground speed. So you got to take that into consideration, a little bit of longer rollout. But should you need to go around, and if you're heavy, much more pleasant with flaps 3 than flaps full. All right, I'm going to get our LS buttons on because we're going to back it up with the localizer slope chart. So basically, we're going to come in over Iltag, Togek, at or above 15. We got a constraint there, then Ducat. But this says visual approach to runway 11 and 29. We might not be able to do it. This is just a right-hand pattern. What's the ILS say? Approach. I have the ILS Zulu 11 in there. 110.3, 108. Yeah, so we got us coming into Ducat. I guess we'll just fly the ILS, but we'll hand fly it. We'll hand fly the ILS from Ducat, which is at 4,000. 110.3, 108. Our minimum descent altitude. Whoa, is this only? Oh, that's the Cat 2 chart. Oh, my wrong chart. They're doing 2.9 in real life. Yeah, but 2.9 is boring. What were the winds? 310 at 5. Oh yeah, they probably would be landing the other way, huh? Well, no ATC on. We'll land with a little bit of tailwind. Make it more spicy. Alright, so for ILS Zulu 11, this one's cooler because you get to see the coastline of the city. Unless is there anything good for 2.9? What do we got? I haven't even looked at the charts for 2.9. No, that's boring. BUR Yankee 2.9. You know what? If they're landing 2.9, why don't we do this? We'll do visual 2.9 like we were planning on it, but right now we'll just go direct to the airport. Now they want us to enter on a kind of a midfield downwind. I think we're coming in at a kind of at an angle, aren't we? Let's see here. Let's see if we can. Let's see what else we can find. VOR runway 29. I looked at that. That's out to. Yeah. I really want to just come straight into the city. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna do this. We're gonna set up for arrival. We're gonna do RNAV 29. No star. Approach via. No via. Insert. It's going to clear our flight plan, so we're going to go heading. Vertical speed. Oh, whoa, Blair. 300 on the speed. There we go. Speed, vertical speed, 2400. That's fine. Insert. And now I want to go direct to SB or SP. I always forget. SB. I guess Brazil, right? SBPA. SBPA. Direct to the field first. Insert. So now we're going direct to the field. We're nav. We're going down to 4,000 feet. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and change this. Let's go ahead and set 10,000. We'll go ahead and set 10,000 feet. We'll remanage the descent. So we're thrust idle, descent. 10,000 is blue, 300 on the speed. We're going direct to the field. We're going to break off and we're going to shoot the visual to 2.9. So the visual for 2.9, we're going to come straight in here. We're going to make a right turn. The jet's altitude is 1,500 feet, so we want to be at 1,500 feet. And we're going to turn around here. It says IAS max 180 in traffic circuit. Beware of relief for Santana Hill, southeast, okay. For landing at SBCO, which we're not worried about. So this is our visual approach. There is no minimum for the visual approach, so what we need to do is set a certain altitude to remind us when to disengage the autopilot. So for the Airbus, it's either 500 or 900, depending if you're in a 321 or a 19 or 20. So 500 feet is what we're going to use, but we want to use 500 feet above the airport elevation. So airport elevation is 30, so I'm going to round it up. We're going to just say 5,100 feet for our new minimum. So I'm going to come over here to approach phase. I'm going to do 5,100. That's just a reference for me to make sure the autopilot is off by 5,100 feet MSL. So that is set. We still got the right barrel. Everything looks good. We're 300 knots. We're descending to 10,000. We're going to enjoy a little bit of a wing view here. Let me go ahead and turn the cabin lights off because that's going to look really good. Another sunset view here. No. Controls. Cabin lights off, and let's enjoy this view right there. Goodness. How to turn a boring ILS into an exciting, challenging approach. This is going to be more fun, man. It shouldn't be challenging. We should be able to just do a nice visual pattern down there. We'll try to come in perpendicular. We might have to do some playing around with the heading mode. Now, I would love to do this with autopilot completely off, but since I don't have anybody to move my FCU knobs, I'll probably keep the autopilot on a little bit to get us squared up, and then I'll take control. All right. We'll turn off auto thrust as well, Andre. Absolutely. and we'll turn up the sim too. We're gonna pay attention to any thrust adjustments on final. And one thing I want to remember is, I know this isn't their model, engine model. I want to know how much thrust I'm needing on approach. So CFM 320, we should be around that 50% mark, but we'll see. I find this one is a little bit too powerful, or it's too efficient, but I think they already addressed that. Why did I just get disconnected? Oh, and I got reconnected. Interesting. All right, cool. Do you want to use the fixed info to draw a reference 2.9 reference line as well? Well, Loler, that's a great question. But what I've done is I've loaded the approach into 2.9 because there's an approach into 2.9, so it's even better than doing a line, which you could absolutely do. But you see here with the approach, it does the same thing, you know. So I'm gonna probably come in probably inside of that, but this at least gives me some additional reference. If there was no approach to 2.9, you're absolutely right. I would make a reference line to that. You could even select, if there's no approach, you can just do a standard runway center line, which come here, arrival, and if there's no approach, it'll just select 2.9, and it will draw a center line fix, or CF. You'll see that on your line. CF, which is center line fix, gives you a straight line to look at when you're doing a visual approach. But because we got that RNAV in there, that'll just be an additional situational awareness. Things are looking up. I disconnected, but I reconnected, so I just dropped for a second. Man, that's pretty, and that's really loud, so sorry about your ears. I feel like I should back it up a little bit in the time. Yeah, we can always back up the replay. Robinson, what's up, man? Captain, you when back in the U.S., you should do stadium visual in Newark. Dude, it's funny that you bring that up. So I was supposed to do that approach on my recurrent, but because the FO called out, I ended up having to do a different set of things, and I didn't do it. But I need to do the stadium visual 2.9 at Newark. I really need to. I need to do it just so I can see it myself. I've never flown the stadium visual 2.9, but I need to do it so I can be familiar with it if I do get it in real life. Idiota, what's up, man? It says, as a midpoint between Porto Alegre and Rio, you could go to Iguazu, where the famous falls are, between Brazil and Argentina. What's the identifier for that? What's the identifier for that airport? I think, you know, we're pretty close from here. I think what we're going to do, what I have planned right now is a 2-leg stream for Rio. We're going to fly up a little bit further, and then we're going to do a shuttle service from that one airport up into Rio, and we're gonna do a dawn arrival. So we've been doing a lot of sunsets, but we're gonna like flip the time like 12 hours, and we're gonna do a dawn arrival. We're gonna try to recreate one of my favorite moments in flight sim, which was when we were in the 737-700 doing the Rio de Janeiro approach. We're gonna see if it's better. But yeah, it should be a fun stream coming up. I don't know when we're gonna do it. We might do it this week. You know what? We might do it on Friday. You guys want to do it on Friday? I think we might do it on Friday, indeed. Be a little bit longer of a stream, 2 legs, but it's Rio. You got to tune in for it. It's the whole. It's one of the main reasons we're doing the South America tours, because we experienced it in the 7.3, and I want to experiment in the Phoenix. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to back the time up just a tad. I don't know what it is. So it's 6:16, so let's do like 5:45. A little bit more realistic to real time. Re-brighten up these screens a little bit. I know it's kind of cliche, or not cliche, what's the word? Taboo to adjust time in flight, but I just did it. So we're going through 10,000 feet. Oop, wrong button. Forward call there. I'm going to go open descent down to 4,000 now. After I select 250. 250, 4,000. Open descent. Perf page. Activate, confirm. Flight attendants, prepare for landing. Oh, this is flashing at me because we have the LS push buttons on, and we have an R&P approach loaded. So you can see RNAV 29 loaded. It says, hey, dummy, you're not using the LS. There we go. And then it has a vertical deviation brick, which we're not really going to use because we're setting up for a visual. In fact, I'm going to put us on the heading right now. So TAM 357, fly heading 070. 070 down to 4,000, TAM 357. All right, with that done, I can clean up the box, draw an extended center line, pull heading again, and we're going to vector ourselves in here. So down to 4,000 feet, thrust idle open, descent. Spoid brakes are coming up here. Let's do it. Wow, almost hit the flap lever. That would have been spicy. 250. It's proper phraseology. Absolutely. Dimitri says, sign me up for the Santos Dumont Circle de Land. Dimitri, indeed. That's what's going to be coming at you, man. Santos Dumont Circle in the Phoenix at dawn. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Disable the first officer's flight directors. Thank you, Gustavo. I'll do that now. Get our seatbelt sign on. Since we don't have any ATC, we'll just get the rest of our landing lights on. Manual brakes, flaps full, full reverse, out of 8,000. This is going to be absolutely juicy. Cannot wait for this. Kevin Thomas says, I'm learning my way through PBS Nablu. Ugh. Yeah, took me a while, Kevin. So complicated to use. Got any tips? Kevin, I do. So, depending if you're a line holder or you're bidding for reserve, either way, I think the same rule applies. The simpler you can be, the better. Now, this is particularly true to like a reserve schedule, and I don't know exactly how your scheduling system and how your contract is set up for how you bid trips and whatnot. And I'm going to go ahead and keep coming down. We'll just set 1,500. But the simpler, the better, I find. Like, if you try to make it too complex, you get issues. So we'll go ahead. The B key 1019 is set. There's our transition. We're looking good. And by simple, it doesn't necessarily mean shorter. It just means simpler commands. So an example of my bid is I either have my waves, like I wave this, wave that, have my days off, and I go, I want this, this, this. If I can't have it, start over. This, and not this. If I can't have it, start over. I'm going to have this, that's it. And then that's my final bid. So you do a cascading bid, but try to keep the rules simple, if that makes sense. And for everybody who doesn't know what PBS Nablu is, I'm speaking Greek to you, but Kevin will understand. Callie Simber, what's up, man? Thank you for a $10 dono, man. I appreciate you so much. He says, after watching your streams, I learned so much that my brain is exhausted and I need a nap. Callie Simmer, that just means I'm doing my job, man. I'm happy to hear it. I'm glad you're enjoying the content, and thank you so much for your support, dude. I appreciate you. Wow, we're coming in here really, really hot. We're coming in hot. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and let's just hand fly the whole thing, shall we? But thank you so much, Callie Simmer. I appreciate you, dude. Very much for your support. Glad you're enjoying the content. I'm going to go ahead and turn the autopilot off. I'm going to turn my flight director off. I'm going to give myself the bird. And you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and disconnect the auto thrust. So proper disconnect the auto thrust. Match. So I'm matching the donut. Mash. Auto thrust is off. Clear the caution. And clear that. And manage speed for approach. And I'm hand flying. You're hand flying. Recording is on. 1,500 feet to enter at midfield downwind. We got to slow up to 180 knots, so we got to come on back here. It's gonna be tight. There's VFE next minus 10, flaps 1. They're coming in here hot. Come back to the right a little bit. Give myself a little S turn, a little bit of cheating here. Idle thrust, leveling at 1,500 feet. We're looking for 180 max. I might even come back to 160. Let's go ahead and dial you down to 10. There's VFE next, minus 10, flaps 2. 100 feet to level off, 5 miles out. We're looking good now. All right, let's go ahead and start working a little bit of power in there. See how I kind of work the thrust levers up? Same way I manipulate them in real life. looking for probably 160 here. I know it said 180 max, but see my trend arrow? So when you're hand flying, look at that trend arrow on the speed. Correlate that. Oh, my speed brake's still out. There we go. 160 knots, flaps 2 for the visual. Now you could, if you were a boss, you're familiar, you probably could come in here at 180, no problem, but since this is my first time ever literally landing at this airport, I'm going to come in a little bit slower, give myself the benefit of the doubt. We're already only about 1,400 feet off the deck, so if you want to be stable at 1,000, you want to be configured a little bit early on this approach. So because of that, let's go ahead and extend flaps 3. And we're looking good. We're flaps 3, 160, 1,500 feet, getting ready to enter midfield downwind. The recording is on, and this looks absolutely amazing. Spoid brake still out, real ramper here. I know, Carta. Jeez. Guys, if you haven't already, if you enjoy this content, please do smash that like button. It helps the channel, helps me out, especially not having a scheduled stream, a schedulable, or like a steady schedule to stream. When you hit that like button, it does indeed help out a lot. So appreciate you. All right, there's the runway. Starting our right turn. We're flaps 3, 160. Just a little bit of juice in the turn there, not much. Now, I don't know how far out you're supposed to go. I probably should have looked at it, but I'm going to go ahead and start descending just a little bit now. You don't want to get too low on this because it might even say on the chart where when you're supposed to start down, but we'll just kind of take it as a short approach, shall we? So let's go ahead and go gear down on the speed brakes. I'm going to try to bring it in there at whatever fix that is. Just inside of POA 05. It's trickling down.
1,000.
Let's go ahead and go flaps full. Start our right turn. Right over the towers. I'm pretty sure I'm doing this illegally. It really would have been nice to have track IR on for this, huh? That's a fail on my part. Alright, so in a 3-degree path, get the thrust levers up to about 50% just to get you started, which seems to be doing right. We're at 49-ish%. A little bit of slowing down a little bit here. Let's keep coming around. We may end up too high on this. We'll see. We're on speed. I'm still looking for that runway. Ooh, I see it. Oh yeah, we're gonna be just fine. That was definitely a little tight there. Someone waiting to take off. My bad. Port Alegre traffic. Land 357. Short final 29. He's like, what? Alright, still we're a little bit high. We're coming in here. Ideally, you don't want to be in a bank here as you go under 200 feet, but some approaches can't really do much about it. I feel like those pappies are off because I don't think 100. I'd be 4 whites. No way I'd be 4 whites here. 50, boom.
40, 30, 20, retard.
Oh, that's going to be hard.
5.
Ooh, I don't know if I saved it. I think I got a little slow. Spoilers. Got a little slow there on that roll in the final. 70 knots, idle thrust, manual brakes. I think the terminal is just down here at the right, so we'll just take the last one. Was that a 125, really? Whew, we saved it, because that that dang there was almost a 600. That was that's a pucker factor on that one. That was definitely all luck on that one right there. I really want to see what the replay was because I think we almost smashed. I really do. All right, let's go ahead and clear here. We're going to the ramp area, which should be out this departure end. So another thing that I don't really do on stream on much because it's really an FO job, but you start the chrono when you come out of full reverse so you get your cooldown time. And clearing the runway, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go all the way up there. We'll reconfigure. I'm not going to touch the lights because I'm tired of hearing the lights on replay mode. We'll stop the recording. And Port Alegre traffic. Land Chile 357. We're clear of 29. Taxi to the gate. Alright, we have all of our lights on, so, I know, don't crucify me. We're going to make a left turn over here. Take one of these gates. Pretty sweet, though. Rock in Rio, we're getting closer. You know, this was a good approach to do, considering we're going to be doing that circle in Santos Dumont here. So, this was good practice for me to get back in it. I really felt like my energy was not what it should have been as we came over the numbers, but we survived. We survived. That jetway does not look like it is in the proper position. So I'm going to parallel park to the line because I don't want to taxi into that thing. So we're going to parallel it, parallel the center line. That's beautiful right there. Looking good. Get ready to erp it. Oop. Erps in chat. Brake set. And let's reconfigure and watch the replay, shall we? One thing I like about reconfiguring is we can listen to the flaps again. Cam, I got the strobes on. I got strobes on for a reason. Alright, so that is set. Anybody on short final? I do not believe so. Nobody taking off. Alright, let's hop into replay mode. So let's go ahead and go brakes off. Replay here. Let's go replay here. And here we come. The ERP is with you. Nice, Steve. Oh, look at this. We're gonna watch. We'll watch one or two replays here. I'm gonna fast forward it here as soon as we roll out. That just looks amazingly juicy. I did not disconnect. My bad. Oops, disconnected. Look at the reflections on that wing. Man. All right, let's. I think it was only at like flaps 2 here. I'm curious, will it re-extend them? We'll check it out later, but let's go ahead and go all the way to the landing. This is going to be a nice... Alright, so here we go. We're starting the circle. We'll resume it from right here. So we're beam on downwind. We're looking good. Cut it in a little bit too tight. Could have been wider, but I'll chalk that up to not having a track IR on. Yeah, Cam, that view is epic. I'm actually when I leave you guys here, I'm going to give you the full replay so you can look at all that approach coming in over the water. Look good. Let's get to the landing though. All right, so yeah, we cut it in short. Beautiful timing though. Look at the lights. Absolutely, you boss. Glad you enjoyed it, man. I think we got a scenery for SPRJ. Yeah, I think we do. Alright, so let's see how we did. We're coming in over the numbers. I started sail early, huh? My bad. Pause it. Alright, so we're coming in over the numbers. We were stable over the numbers. Ooh, yeah, we saved it. I mean, we were bang on center line. I'll take that. Hey, that wasn't bad by any means, but I wish I could say that I was more skill than luck, but I think I got lucky on this one. So we came in, we were sinking really good here. I got that flare in just in time, right on the markers, right on the touchdown zone. Right on the touchdown marks. So for those that don't know, let me turn this down for a second. Aiming markers, this is what you aim for, right? And the actual touchdown zone marker is right there. That's the first one. So now the touchdown zone is this entire strip here with the markings. But the very first touchdown zone is right there. And my friends, that would be a 3-wire. That looks pretty dang good right there. Roll it out. Absolutely juice. Went into full reverse, which I'm not going to let pop out on this replay so you can see it on the actual replay. I'm going to wind it back to right about here. I'll put you guys in here. I'll get sail playing for real. Resume the replay. And there we go. Oh my goodness, screenshot. Guys, that's going to wrap it up today. I hope you enjoyed this flight. The next one, I think, is going to be the Mac Daddy. We're going to do 2 legs, finishing up in Rio de Janeiro at dawn, taking the Rock and Rio livery, unless there's a better one out there. They do have a Star Wars Brazil. I'll put it, maybe we'll have to see which one, either Star Wars Brazil or the Rock and Rio. Maybe we'll do both. But I think that stream will be coming at you Friday. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure your notifications are set to all. Make sure you like this video if you haven't already. I appreciate you guys. You're awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for the massive donos today, whether it's an Iron Man coming with a massive dono or anyone else with any monetary value at all. I appreciate you very, very much. Everyone else hanging out in chat, smashing the like button for me, being active. You guys are all awesome. I love you just as much. Enjoy the replays, folks. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. I'm V1. See you.